For the first time since I've been alive, SEGA has done something that nobody in the history of gaming has ever done before. They acknowledged the Dreamcast, but they also overtook Nintendo in the kart racing scene. Allegedly. I mean, like, it's a matter of opinion, right? Year after year, title after title, obscure kart racers filled the scene. We had some crazy ones like Garfield Kart or Smurfs Kart Racing, and other ones that were just obvious cash grabs. Disney. Crash's racing games for the early PlayStations captured a lot of hearts and were arguably very good for their time. And the Nitro Refueled game is still a lot of fun and a phenomenal kart racer. But none of these stood out to be the racing game to overtake Mario Kart. All of the Sonic racing games had their funny little quirks and gimmicks, and Sonic Racing Crossworlds is no different. So, what changed? Did this one just exceed expectations? Or did Nintendo just fall flat with their latest Mario Kart? It's a bit of both, actually. And right before we get into that, I have a few shoutouts. We're really close to 50k on YouTube. It'd be really cool to hit it. My mom would be really proud of me. Follow me on Twitch. I've been streaming all of my playthroughs of all these games, and it's nice to have someone to talk to. And then join the Discord. We play Wordle a lot. And then I also got the new G Fuel, the 2.0. It's very good. It's very... G Fuel code Mega Snoop. Okay, let's actually talk now. To understand the shift that happened in the kart racing scene, let me briefly show you how Mario Kart has dominated the scene over the past 30 years. In 1992, Super Mario Kart was released for the SNES. It's flat, the map takes up half the screen, but you know what? Back then, this was pretty revolutionary, even if it was incredibly difficult and unfair at times. Though it wasn't the first racing game ever, as those have existed for quite a while, it created a foundation for what kart racers will become with its colorful graphics, silly power-ups, and much lighter tone. And it wasn't much longer after that Sonic Drift was released for the Game Gear. Looks kinda similar, doesn't it? The irony is that although it looked the same, it did not play well at all. 1996 introduced a new 3D environment to race on when the new Mario Kart came out for the Nintendo 64. And see, this was the first one that I ever played, and it introduced me to the franchise. It continued to push the boundaries of the genre with brand new items and shortcuts on the tracks. On the other side, we have Sonic R. A game so short that retrospective videos about it are longer than the actual game. Which I guess technically isn't a kart racer, but it was Sega's next step into the racing genre. This one also takes advantage of the 3D space, but this time Sonic and friends are running around the tracks on their feet instead of in carts. Well, I mean, I guess Amy is technically in a car and Eggman is in his bubble thing, but the tracks were very similar in the sense where they had more freedom of where you could go with more branching paths and shortcuts. But regardless, Mario 64 was going to be the victor here because just by default, the Nintendo 64 sold over 3 times as much as the Sega Saturn, so Sonic R was just not reaching as many players. The GameCube, on the other hand, offered a huge shift to both of these franchises. Nintendo releases Mario Kart Double Dash, which adds a new element of allowing you to play as 2 characters at once, which gives the player the ability to hold 2 different items and swap between which ones they wanted to use. And this became a pinnacle point because that became a standard for every kart racer for the foreseeable future. Sega, on the other hand, started branching out to other platforms, pretty much giving up on their own home console, but giving them the ability to reach more players. And their first racing game for the GameCube was Sonic Riders. It utilized very different gameplay than like a typical kart racer, and that was potentially a bigger gamble than that slot machine on Sonic Heroes. But it kinda sorta paid off. Now, I love Sonic Riders. This one was my introduction to the Sonic racing games. And I've probably 100%ed this game 5 times now. And if you'd really like to see my whole breakdown of this game specifically, I did dedicate like a half-hour portion to it in my 2.5-hour Sonic video that you can check out after this video. But finish this video first, okay? Thanks. Instead of karts or running on their feet, they were on these little hoverboards that they called Extreme Gear. And these will be important for later. You had to manage your air by performing tricks and picking up rings, so the gameplay was definitely a bit different. This was also where they introduced the Babylon Rogues with Jet, Wave, and Storm. And I am not attracted to Wave. I'm not. You know I'm not because I said I'm not. So I'm not. Alright, moving on. This game was very ambitious and loved enough in the Sonic community where they went ahead and made 2 sequels to it, which we'll get into shortly here. The downside is that it might have been too ambitious because the familiarity of Mario Kart was able to bring in more of a casual audience, where all of these new gameplay gimmicks and designs tend to scare people away. So it seems like you still just can't beat first party. The Wii generation brought in what I'd like to call kart racing peak. This is easily a lot of people's favorite Mario Kart of the entire franchise, and it's pretty easy to see why. Maybe you think it's for the integrated motion controls that makes you really feel like that you're Mario Kart Wiiing. I mean, they even made a little piece of plastic you can connect to your Wiimote to make it look like a steering wheel. But actually, it's because of Funky Kong and Coconut Mall. SEGA, on the other hand, released easily what was their best kart racer yet, but not before making a sequel to Sonic Riders, which was actually pretty good, and then a second one after that that was not good, and potentially killed the franchise forever. Don't ever use the Xbox Kinect, guys, not even once. But now we have Sonic and SEGA All-Star Racing, finally adapting everything that made a kart racer a kart racer. All-Star Racing finally brought SEGA up to par with other kart racers at the time, and even expanded the roster outside of just Sonic characters, such as this guy, and Banjo-Kazooie past their prime. And you know what? Overall, this was a really solid game. It just happened to be going up against Mario Kart Wii, and nothing beats Mario Kart Wii. So that's another win for Nintendo there. And then came the Wii U, which was probably the most pivotal point in both of these franchises, mainly because nobody owned a Wii U. But that didn't stop both companies for laying groundwork for what would become their best games yet. SEGA followed up with Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, and Nintendo made Mario Kart 8. They didn't have a clever name for it, it was just the 8th one, so that's what it's called. This was Sega's best reviewed kart racer yet, and the closest they had ever come to going toe-to-toe with Nintendo. And although Mario Kart 8 was definitely no Mario Kart Wii, it still reviewed really well and became the universal standard for kart racers. It didn't have any of the over-the-top gimmicks, it was just fundamentally really good, and easily one of the best built and smoothest kart racers in existence. Which is why it makes so much sense that once we go to the Switch, they didn't have to make a new game. They just brought over the old one and made it better. And you know what? That did phenomenally. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe not only brought everything that was good about Mario Kart 8 back, but with better graphics, better quality, and a real on-the-go experience going handheld. This is easily the highest rated Mario Kart of all time. Like, this might actually be the Mario Kart Wii of kart racers. And don't get me started on that DLC. The perfect cherry on top was bringing in some of the greatest Mario Kart courses from all of the past Mario Karts as downloadable content to be played on this one game. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe became the ultimate library for holding all of the best Mario Kart courses, and even a few additional characters to play. They literally brought back Funky Kong and Coconut Mall. It is literally the Mario Kart Wii of kart racers. It seems as though Nintendo could not have gone higher with what they accomplished. And then SEGA made Team Sonic Racing. And I played it. I mean, it was alright. It was basically trying to copy what Mario Kart 8 did, and then added this gimmick of like having to race in teams. So even though you came in first, your teammates came in last, and you lost. So it didn't really become better than the last, and definitely not better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at the top of the world right now, what hope was there for other kart racers? It definitely didn't stop other developers from trying though. Around the same time, Beanox released Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, and why this didn't become one of the most popular racing games on the scene is beyond me, because it's fantastic. Yeah, the skill ceiling is a little high, so it's kind of hard to be good at it, but I still think it's fun for a good casual time, and many other kart racers followed throughout the years. Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3, Kart Rider Drift, Smurfs Kart, Garfield Kart 2, Disney Speedstorm. I'm sorry, I can't say that one with a straight face. But none of them could outdo what Nintendo had done with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It seemed as though Nintendo would never be dethroned. Yet here we are in the year 2025. Consoles are more expensive than ever, and we're all in denial about being in a recession. Nintendo drops the Switch 2 and its launch game, Mario Kart World. A brand new Mario Karting experience with interconnected Grand Prix tracks, a free roam mode, and 24-player races. It seemed as though Nintendo upped the ante and cemented what was going to be the greatest Mario Kart of all time. And then behind the scenes, SEGA had just been quietly working on their own racing game, Sonic Racing Crossworlds. It never fully boasted that it was going to beat Mario Kart, although once they knew they had a chance, they definitely leaned into it in the marketing.
We all know that kart racing game. It's great. We don't need to show it to you. But what if you can blast through and race on a whole nother level?
But at the time, it didn't have any intention to, and it seemed like both of these companies were just going to fall into place where we expected them to. Nintendo was going to continue leading the kart racing scene, and Sega was going to make a fun little Sonic racing game for their fans. But then, the games were released. And while hopes were high for Mario Kart World, and it did deliver on a lot of its promises, it also kind of took a step backwards. Yes, we did get 24-player races, but we didn't realize that we only had 24-player races. And there was no option to lower it. And when there's more racers, there's more items. And where there's more items, there's more items. While we could customize the items in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and make it where I never have to see the annoying lightning ever again, Mario Kart World only left us two options for items, normal and frantic. Do you want items or do you want more items? A later update added mushrooms only, but that's still far more limiting than what we had before. And although it was a unique gimmick to allow racers to go from one course to the other as part of the race, yeah, that's fun, but why is that the standard race now? The 3-lap tracks have essentially disappeared and will rarely come up in any of the Grand Prix. And then forget about trying to play any of them online. Whenever I play locally with my wife, I always set it to versus mode and then change the map to random so we can get a fun experience trying different races. But every time we do that, it always chooses starting from one point and then ending at the other point. It will rarely ever give us a 3-lap race that way. And most of the time, it involves driving through water. And I hate driving through water. It sucks, 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 it sucks. Did I mention it sucks? Driving over the water in this game is terrible. We had it so good in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You could just drive under the water and it would barely limit your speed. And I wouldn't mind driving on the water in this game if it didn't make it feel like you were driving over molasses. And since so many races are going from point A to point B, the strategy of leaving items behind you doesn't play as big of a part. In the older Mario Karts, you could leave a banana in front of a speed boost or an item box to try to deter people from going that way. And if everybody avoids it, you have to come around next lap and avoid it yourself, or even build onto it by dropping another banana. By lap 3, there's kind of a wall of bananas that everybody has to avoid that adds to the chaos of the track. That's pretty much gone now. So don't get me wrong though, I do love Mario Kart World, but it's just not better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It did add some amazing new features like being able to hop on the rails and drive on the walls and do these really sick combos. And the Knockout Tour is probably one of the greatest game modes in kart racer history, but it just has obvious holes and features that are missing. When you're trying to continue a franchise, you want to take what was good about the last one and build off of it into your new one. Mario Kart World just didn't do that. So instead of taking a step forward, it didn't even take a step back, it kind of more like lateral jumped, which makes it a good kart racer, just not great. Sonic Racing on the other hand. So there's like a million things I could say about this game, but everybody else already has, and I don't want to necessarily just regurgitate what they've already said. It's very obvious that Sonic Racing Crossworlds took everything it learned from the previous games and built off of it, not removing anything or taking any steps backwards. Its big gimmick is changing the second lap in each race to a different track to keep every race feeling unique and different without changing the core fundamentals of a kart racer. The courses themselves are built really well, and the gameplay is made to help you feel fast. And they even brought back things from previous games like the team-based races, but made it a separate game mode so you can go play it if you want to, without completely intruding on the base gameplay. The online is straightforward and welcoming, which lets anyone from any skill level be able to jump in and start having fun. And more importantly, it's crossplay. Yeah, the name Crossworlds isn't just referring to that portal that you drive through. It's a fun nod to the fact that you can literally play across the world. And something I'm not seeing anyone else touch upon is just how cleverly they did the crossplay. In just about every game that has crossplay, the way that they're able to connect people, as well as moderate their players, is having your Steam or PlayStation account connected to their specific publisher account. That's why you need an Activision account to play Call of Duty, and why you need an Epic Games account to play Fortnite. But in Sonic Racing Crossworlds, they just assign you an ID the moment you log onto the game. You don't have to create an additional account, you don't have to put in an email and password that you're probably gonna forget. You just log onto the game, it assigns you an ID, and then you use that ID to connect with other people on other platforms. You want to play with your friend? Just punch in their ID, and you can play together. It's that simple! Like, how have other game developers not figured this out yet? And then you top it all off with customizable karts, gadget plates to complement your driving style with perks, and then freaking Hatsune Miku! I did say it right this time, right? Hatsune Miku. Hatsune Miku? They flamed me on TikTok just because I said it wrong, so I had to make sure I got it right for you guys. She's just the first DLC character that will be joining the game along with Joker, Minecraft Steve and the Creeper, SpongeBob and Patrick, Mega Man, and a ton more. Oh, and they brought back the extreme gear, that thing from Sonic Riders, that really niche thing that only a few people remember but really, really loved. They didn't have to do that, but they did, and that was awesome. And as a Sonic Riders lover, that's awesome. And there are so many other things that are continuous cherries on top of an already great game. Like how it takes away the placement when you get towards the end of the race, which makes every photo finish even more exciting. Or how you can use tickets to retry a rival race if you feel like you lost in the final seconds to an unfair item. But most importantly, driving in the water doesn't suck. Somebody did it right. This doesn't have to suck. I don't hate the water in this game, and that already makes it better in my book. Saying all of that out loud makes it seem obvious, right? Sonic Racing Crossworlds finally dethroned Mario Kart and has taken over the racing scene. Well, not exactly. Both of them are phenomenal racing games, we just happen to be viewing them in different ways now. Mario Kart held its spot at the top for so long that many people were itching to finally see something overtake it. And now we have a moment where this version of Mario Kart didn't necessarily do better than the last one. And I mean, how could it? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was so good, it was basically the Mario Kart Wii of kart racers. And then we have a Sonic racing game that learned from its mistakes and got even better, bringing it up to par from what we'd expect from a top-tier kart racer. So comparatively, it makes sense that we think one is better than the other when one obviously got better from its previous version and the other didn't. But they both have smooth driving mechanics, are fun to play, and are a great way to spend time with friends and family. If your preference is the smooth driving on wide turns and unique movement on rails and walls, then Mario Kart World is the way to go. But if you want a faster, more arcade-like experience with hectic starts and finishes in every race, and tons of customization, then Sonic Racing Crossworlds sounds like the one for you. Also, it has Hatsune Miku. That might just be a winner right there. I love you, Miku. I love you. But honestly, I would love to hear what you guys think. Which of these two has been your favorite this year? And if you don't have $150 to be able to buy both of them and try them out, I do not blame you. I'd like to thank SEGA for giving me a key to be able to play Sonic Crossworlds and say such nice things about it. And I'd like to thank Nintendo for just having everything be really expensive. Which is sarcasm, I'm not thankful for that. And then I got a couple of videos on the screen. One of them is that Sonic video I mentioned before, go check it out. And then over here I have a video of me talking about Hollow Knight Silk Song and how it broke the gaming industry. I'm trying to get it to break 250 views. Please help it break 250 views. I gotta get going. I'm currently in a recession and my money is not gonna burn itself. Hate driving on the water, it's so stupid.